Hello, I'd like to go over some information that might be useful to you guys. It's basically everything you need to know for the first assessment. So, first thing you need to be able to do is create variables of these 5 types. So you should be able to create an int that holds an integer, a double that holds anything with a decimal point, a letter, or sorry, a char which holds any kind of letter or character. So it could be like a number, but just a single symbol. Notice it's got single quotes to determine that it is a char, not a variable. How to do a string, which can be anything from like a word to a letter to the complete works of Shakespeare. You can hold them all in a string. It is a string of characters. Notice it has double quotes to denote a string. And then the last one is Boolean. Booleans hold just one of 2 possible values, true or false. So these are the 4 that hopefully you can make successfully. Notice they are all of the same structure. Variable type you want to make, whatever the heck you want to call it, an equal sign, and then its starting value, which you can then change. You only ever want to say what type of variable is once. So if I do int score up here, if I'm messing with score later, I do not want to mention the fact that it's an int again, because then it thinks I'm trying to make a new variable with the same name. So only say what type your variable is once. You should also be able to print things out. So just system.out.print if you want to keep printing onto the same line, or system.out.print line if you want to go into the next line after the line is done. So this should say Bosdet, Hungary, true, which is basically always true. So notice the first 2 print, or first 3 print on the same line, and then after this one, because it ends in ln, the next time I print it, it's on the next line. Other things you should be able to do is be able to do maths with these ints and doubles and mathy variables. So let's say I had a pounds value. Say I weighed 150 pounds, which is not true, but I will pretend. If I multiply it by 2.2, that'll give me, you should have divided by 2.2 to go to kilograms. That'll give me kilograms. And you can also mess with variables. Let's say you got health in a video game, and for some reason this you use a health potion and it makes your health 50% more than it was before and adds an extra 20. So just something. So math with it, and then this is your multiplication, this is your addition. Area is pi r squared. So pi times r is the same thing for a circle. You also should be able to use the mod. This is the mod symbol. Yeah, so this gives you the remainder when you divide 23 by 5. So the value for remainder here is 3. So yeah, comes up more often than you'd think, this whole mod stuff. It's actually the basis for all encryption, all safe web activity is math with remainders. You should also be able to use shortcuts, plus equals, minus equals, times equals, divided equals. You can even do mod equals if you want. This makes whatever kilograms was after this line, it's now double what it was before. With your area, now it's half what it was before. It gets whatever it was divided by 2. This would make your health 10 more than it was before. This will make your kilograms 20 less. Here's a shortcut to add 1 to a variable, and here's a shortcut to subtract 1 from a variable. You can also, like, if you want to mess with a string, you could also do, say, hey, I want my name to be my full name, or whatever. I could be plus equals. So now my name is Bosdet, Jeff. It would add this to the end of the string. So if you ever see that, you can use it with strings too. Another thing you should understand about variables is how integer division works and how that can throw off what the computer sees and what you're expecting. So one time I made a mark program, so I had like people's scores, and I had their like what the test was out of. So in this case, you'd expect it would be 0.99 if you did mark divided by out of for 99%. But if we run this, notice it says your percent was 0 because the computer sees 99 as an int, it sees 100 as an int, and you're doing a math with an int divided by an int, so it'll give you your answer as an int, but ints can't hold decimals, so it doesn't round to 1 like your actual decimal here would normally be 0.99, but since an int can't hold anything past the decimal, it just deletes it, and your answer is 0. So careful of that. Anytime you do an integer, anything without a decimal point, we could fix it right now if we just did that. I'd have to change it to a double and change this to a double, but then the computer would see it as that, and then it would work as you'd expect. But be very careful if you take an int, divide it by an int, because it'll take what you'd expect it to be and just chop off the decimal. So it's whatever it was rounded down, no matter how high it was. Like in this case, it's 0.99, it becomes 0. So careful that it comes up not too often, but when it does, it can really mess with you. Another thing that's occasionally useful is this idea of how to cast a variable. If you're ever doing RPGs and you want to do like random damage, it's really useful for that. So here's some code using casting. I'm forcing a double, like the computer sees this math, sees it as a double, something with a decimal. If I then force the answer to be an int by putting what variable type I want it to be in brackets right in front of it, it'll force convert the answer to an int. And in this case, rounded would equal 13. We added 0.5 to it, so it'd get 13.01234, and then chop off the decimal after that. So here's some really simple code for just rounding a number. Just add 0.5 and then cast it to an int. Just forces your variable to be the type you want. And doing whatever conversions necessary. Some casts happen automatically. If I just used an int and I wanted to save it as a double variable, that wouldn't be a problem. But anytime you lose information, like here you chop off the decimal, you have to force cast it. You have to explicitly say, yes, I want to force this to be an int. Another thing you need to be able to do is use all of your comparison operators. So you want to check two things are equal, use equals equals between them. You want to check that they're not equal, exclamation point equals between them. Something's greater than or equal to something else, use this guy. Something's less than or equal to something else, use this guy. Something's greater than, use this guy. Something's less than, use this guy. So hopefully you got those guys down. If you forgot one of these, or I often see people forgetting that it's two equal signs to check that something's equal to something else. Anyway, refresh yourself, make sure you got that. You should also know all your logical operators and, or, and not, and know their natural order of operations, which is not will happen before and happens before or. So first, second, third. That's occasionally useful. If you want to force it to go in another direction, just add brackets. And so they just kind of combine true-false statements into one big true-false statements as part of an if condition. So here's one, like let's say you want in your game, if your score is greater than 500 and you're not dead, your health is greater than 0, you can print you win. Or let's say if your kilograms is less than 10, so you're 22 pounds, or your kilograms is greater than 200, you're over 440 pounds, or you should maybe see a doctor, unless you are a super bodybuilder. Or a baby. If you're not hungry, it'll print out wait until break to eat, and otherwise it'll print time to party. Also know this whole if-else-if structure. Use this if you only want one of these to occur. Remember, else happens if none of the attached above if and else-if statements occurred, then the else will. If you want things to happen so they all could occur, just make them all if statements. They don't need to be else statements. You could have if and if and if. Like I could do all of this if I wanted it to potentially print out all of them if the conditions were fulfilled. But then this else is just connected to this guy. So hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully you know your ands, ors, nots, comparisons. Yeah. Good luck. Test soon.